This is Just Nigeria, coming up on the program today. Torture houses or correctional facilities. Police raid alleged Islamic rehabilitation facilities in 4 states, rescuing hundreds of chained inmates. And a young Nigerian assembles farm machineries out of locally sourced materials. Also,
I can't set my arm, but I can set my brain.
rising above pain. The 8-year-old making the most out of life despite challenges with health. Plus,
hi, I'm Bukola Akingbade. Check me out.
The entrepreneur introducing esports to Nigeria's educational system. Hi there, welcome to Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. Here on the show, we'll look at the stories being talked about on social media. I am Wali Fakile. So, on to our top story this week then. Now, over 1,000 people have been rescued by the Nigerian police from alleged Islamic rehabilitation centers in Kaduna, Kano, Katsina and Oyo states. The facilities were allegedly used as correctional facilities, but some of the victims who have lived there for years recounted tales of torture, assault and sexual abuse. The BBC's Mayeni Jones has the story.
Across Nigeria, stories about abuse in private correctional centers have been emerging. Over the past 6 weeks, Nigerian authorities have raided illegal detention facilities in various states. Over 1,000 young people have been rescued from so-called rehabilitation centers. They claim to treat people with behavioral problems, drug addiction and mental illnesses. Located in city centres and residential neighbourhoods, like this one in President Buhari's hometown, Daura, these facilities are not hidden. Some of the former students say they were often brought out here for Quranic lessons and that many of the neighbours saw them in chains. The first raid back in September was in the northern city of Kaduna. 29-year-old Isa Ibrahim was taken to this so-called Islamic correctional centre by relatives hoping to correct poor behaviour. He was only there for 2 weeks, but was deeply marked by the experience.
It's like living in hellfire. Praying there is hard. Eating is hard. If you are praying, they will beat you. If you are studying, they will beat you. Anything you do, they will beat you. Even if you are sleeping, before they wake you up, they'll use cane to wake you up.
He has no happy memories of his time at this facility.
This is the first room which I was brought.
Rabiu Umar was kept at another similar facility in Daura, Katsina State, before his family came to rescue him.
This is where we urinate. You urinate in a gallon. The first day I came here, they gave me 30 lashes of introduction and of welcoming. So as I was welcomed, they came and showed me where I would lie down. They showed me the place. It was very tiny, like 40 people in a room. How could you imagine you can sleep here? There is no blanket, there is no bed sheet, there is no food. They don't used to give us food. They only give us twice in a day. And that food they will give us, it will not satisfy even a dog, not a human. When, for instance, like you are ill, they will give you 2 ampiclos and give you 2 days to recover. They will tell you that take this medicine, but make sure you recover in 2 times. And that medicine they will give you like 10 lashes. Because if they are giving you lashes, maybe when you are sick, you cannot even tell them you are sick. So you have to keep it in your mind.
In October, 67 men and boys were freed from this centre. Police say 300 people were registered here, but that many of them escaped in a riot the weekend before the raid.
There are many experiences that we experience in this house. The experience of hunger, the experience of deprivation, the experience of inhumanity, the experience of bullying, the experience of molestation, the experience of... I don't know how to say it, but thank God now, God has revealed what has been hidden for a very long time, and God has given us another chance to live our lives freely, not like slave trades.
The day after the raid in Daura, Another rehabilitation center was uncovered in the nearby town of Katsina. This place has been completely locked down and we're not being allowed inside. Although President Buhari says there needs to be a crackdown on institutions like these, locally, authorities seem more keen to downplay the situation.
What we try to do here is not to expose anybody. What we try to do is to enlighten people to realize that some of these activities are illegal. Because these are not people, young men that were just picked on the street. They were young men that were actually brought in by their parents for rehabilitation. Some of these parents may not know that the rights of children are protected.
According to state authorities, these centers worsen the condition of their residents.
They are not to provide any form of treatment, but in fact, in most cases, they turn up hardened criminals. You stop somebody from taking drugs, but you chain him. You are underfeeding him, you are abusing him. The bottom line is we have to do more in education. Public education is the answer to the cure of all this, massive public education.
But what happens to those who are forcefully reintegrated into society?
There are programs. They have group therapy, and part of what group therapy does is connect you with people and makes you understand that you're not alone. Someone else is going through this, and then it makes you have this sense of community, because you see like minds, you see people that have gone through what you're going through, or much worse than what you've been through.
Private centers are not the only ones with problems. A report by Human Rights Watch released this week found evidence of abuse in both state-run and private centers treating people with mental illnesses. Although the government has called for private rehabilitation facilities to be closed, it's unclear what it plans to do with those still in need of their services. And with no concrete plan to provide psychological and social support to those in need, desperate parents may continue to turn to religious leaders for answers. Miney Jones, BBC News.
The BBC's Mayani Jones there. Joining me now in the studio to understand more of this is Sulaiman Oloko Danom, former Executive Secretary, Movement for Islamic Culture and Awareness. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
First off, can you tell us why these facilities were set up in the first place?
Well, I think what's important here is to understand that those institutions were set up as a result of a need, which somebody somewhere wasn't providing. And when you need something and somebody's not providing, or those who are responsible to provide them are not providing them, people will look for alternatives. Case in point, if you are seeking medication, for instance, and there's no facility to help you with that, you'll probably go to where you need it. And those who are providing it are not regulated anyway.
Okay.
So the need is what is driving these institutions, and the perception from the people that this would provide what I need for my ward, would help me solve the problems that I have with my ward, is the reason why I think these institutions are there in the first place.
One peculiar thing about all these centers is that there are cases of torture.
Yeah.
Is it just by chance or happenstance that it seems to be a trend across all these correctional facilities?
Yeah, I think that, okay, so as we have mentioned earlier, they don't have any training with regards to this. This is what they understand. The parents of these kids or the parents of these wards have a duty to understand where they are taking their children to. And do you take your child to a facility and then not check up on them? I mean, it's funny where you put your child somewhere for 11 years and you don't know what's going on. The responsibility, first of all, is on you, and then you go and check your ward from time to time. Okay,
so are we saying that the responsibility or those to blame for all this are the parents who have taken their kids, their children, their wards to these correctional facilities? Is that what we're saying now? Abuse
is a general thing. Let's not give it any coloration. Secondly, let's look in the mirror. What have you done to help this person? And in looking at the mirror also, you have to look at those who have oversight functions on these things. Are they registered? Who is watching? Who is monitoring them? Are we pretending that we don't know what's going on? So what is the job of the local government chairman, for instance, or the local ruler in that area? Does he not know that these things are going on? So yes, the parents have a first duty, because again, if you take it to the religious realm, you are responsible for what God has given you anyway.
Okay, so let's move the discussion, the conversation further now. So what's the way forward? Should these correctional facilities be totally scrapped, or should they be reformed and regulated?
I would expect that. I think we need to do critically 4 or 5 things. First thing, enumeration, which is what I think the Kaduna State government is doing. What do we have? What is the level of quantitative and qualitative education or healthcare that these people are, dishing out? Secondly, we need to have them registered, don't we? We need to know exactly who is in charge, what are their qualifications. Are they licensed to do what it is that they're doing? Maybe we should come up with some kind of licensing. Then let's update, in terms of curriculum, let's update our curriculum to suit
what I'm getting from
local
you
language.
is that we should not scrap them, but we should reform and regulate this.
Yes, in as much as there's a need that they are providing, you need to monitor those needs that they are providing. Or you yourself take it upon yourself to provide those needs and make it accessible to those who need it most. Let's gauge our society by how we treat the poor. So what's the level of how we treat the poor?
What's the level of how we treat the poor? That's how we leave it. Thank you very much,
Thank you for having me.
Oloko-Dano, for coming on Gist Nigeria.
It was my pleasure.
Appreciate it. All right, so what's your view on this Islamic rehabilitation centers? Join the conversation on Twitter and send your messages to us at Gist Nigeria TV. Let's get on with our second story today then. While some people may be seeking one-way tickets out of Nigeria, Jerry Malo disobeyed his parents when he left his well-paying job in London to return to Nigeria to help transform agriculture. Today, he's assembling tractors and other farm machineries. Chris Illems tells us more.
Plateau State derives its name from the Jos Plateau, with boundaries of elevated hills surrounding virtually the entire plateau itself. It's a melting pot of the best of natural endowments, such as rocks, water bodies, and a near-temperate climate. So while the plateau is known for these and more, not much is told of its technical hub. However, one young man appears set to tell that story.
I'm Jerry Isaac Malo. I was born in Jos Plateau State in a little town called Bukos. I attended the King's School, Ganarop, for my primary level, and I went to boys' secondary school, Gindri.
While Jerry's classmates busy themselves with trying to understand the theoretical aspect of their coursework, he could not be bothered as he kept his eyes on learning the technical and practical part of his school program. This led him to assemble all he could find to build his first car, which brought him some level of exposure and eventually a scholarship to study engineering at Hertfordshire University. Armed with the knowledge he had gathered in the UK and a strong belief in his dream and his ability to excel, Jerry Malo returned to Nigeria.
My parents were not in support at all. It's like going to London and coming back to Nigeria. I was doing a student job, which I was paid equivalent of about 360,000 naira every month. So to my parents, it was an achievement already. Even if I don't want to school, I should just stay there and work.
Jerry changed his story by channeling his energy to building agro machineries. He brought people of like minds and passion together, which led to the birth of Benny Agro.
Then we came up with the idea of building a company. That was where the name Benny came from. And Benny, in my dialect, my local dialect, means knowledge. So I just wanted it to be a platform where knowledgeable people bring their ideas together, make a living out of the ideas, and solve problems in the society.
4 years down the line, the story is different. They now churn out various agro equipment manually from this workshop in a backyard at Rayfeed, Jos. When they're not on the field building agro machineries, they're brainstorming on new designs and techniques to build them.
If this hole is able to make the hole to be.
When the designs are set for production, Jerry sources all his materials from a metal market in Jos.
There is nothing more further from the truth than to believe the nation can become a word player without paying attention to science and technology, human capital development, and of course these gifted ones. The trajectory therefore would be to seek out these gifted ones and of course help them hone their skills and own their space.
Staying back home to build the country, truly commendable. There's more to come here on Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. We'll meet the 8-year-old staying positive and bubbly despite her health condition, right after this. Welcome back to Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV. I am Wale Fakile. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Coming up in a moment, the entrepreneur creating Africa's largest community of young gamers in a fun and inclusive way. But first, 8-year-old Ayeyi has brittle bones and has endured multiple fractures since birth. The condition known as osteogenesis imperfecta or OI can cause bones to break at the slightest movement. But despite the pain a fracture brings, Ayeyi loves to dance and refuses to let the condition define her. From Ghana, the BBC's Pauline Odiambo reports.
I can set my arm, but I can set my brain. My name is Ifya Ayyalamwate. I am 8 years old. I have osteogenesis imperfecta, which means my bones are soft, it can break easily. Much stronger.
She may not be able to walk, but gradually and with support, Ayeyi has finally learned to stand.
Grandma, I think I can do that now.
According to experts, osteogenesis imperfecta is a genetic condition which cannot be cured. But this hasn't dampened Ayeyi's bubbly spirit.
I love to sing, I love to dance, I also love to read, and I also love to play.
But sometimes, playtime can end in multiple fractures.
If I throw something, then I will break my bone. If I stretch my arm, I can break my bone. Every time when I broke my bone, my mom will put something, then she'll rub it, then it will heal and heal and heal.
Where were you in that picture?
I hate to say it.
Why not?
I so disgusting.
Just say it, I want to hear. Where were you in that picture?
I was in mommy's stomach.
Like many newlyweds, Ayeyi's parents were happy to find out they were expecting their first child. But halfway through the pregnancy, doctors noticed something unusual and advised them to abort the baby.
Honestly, it was a very difficult thing for us to do as Christians. We finally made the decision to keep the pregnancy. When she was born, then we realized that we were carrying more than we were even told.
It is estimated that 5 out of every 100,000 people worldwide are born with osteogenesis imperfecta. Ghana's figures on the condition are not readily available, and treatment options in the country are limited.
The common medication that's given is called bisphosphonates, which helps strengthen the bone.
According to science, Ayeyi's condition is expected to worsen as she gets older. However, water therapy and other exercises have helped.
So you do your legs first and your back?
In addition to dealing with the physical challenges of the condition, Ayeyi's parents have also had to deal with the stigma associated with raising a disabled child.
Ever since she came into our life, I think I've had more positive blessings than the negative. And there's nothing you lose when you help such children.
To stretch your mind. I can stretch my arm like everybody does. But with the help of God, I can stretch my brain so I can do great things.
Such a bundle of endless energy with an infectious smile. Let's see some other stories. Now, Jessie Onuigwe is a 104-year-old farmer from Anambra in Nigeria. Despite her age, she still supervises activities on her farm. She shares with us what keeps her young and her thoughts on the younger generation. As you'd expect, she doesn't hold back.
Afambo Jesi Onuigwe. Abumonya Anambra. Dena Nigeria. Adim Aho 104. Anam Ibubo Sinubo Swako Igbe. Amara mma webume. Mmara arụ ya kịta mmara ama abụzi clear. Ihe ugbo jiri dịkarị mkpabụ ịbịa n'ọba m anyị. Anyị na-eweta ihe be anyị wee na-azụ ụmụaka. Enwere m ụmụ na-anọ, ụmụ 124 ma na-agakwa n'iru. Ọ bụrụ na ị nwezuru ego ịzụ ahịa, ebe n'ọrụ ugbo ihe ahụ akọrọ akọ na-enyere aka. Ihu eluigwe adịghị mma na-aba na-emebi ihe. Ihe nyere m aka bụ ndị Igbo anyị na Jizọs. Ị na-akọdo ugbo ahụ ụdị na-asịghị ike.
All right, let's now see what people from my generation have been up to, and that's on Check Me Out. This week, we meet Bukola Akingbade, who is creating Africa's largest community of young gamers through a fusion of gaming, education, and culture delivered in a fun and inclusive way. Let's check her out.
Hi, I'm Bukola Akingbade, founder and CEO of Kucheza Gaming. Check me out. I grew up in Lagos. I went to Command Primary School. I went to Federal Government Girls College, Shagamu, and I studied architecture in Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife. One of the main things I learned from my mom in terms of shared experiences is when we played things like Draft Together or Monopoly or Ludo, things that, you know, we kind of take for granted, but teaches us quite a lot about, or we learn through playing those kind of games. So I had to start devising means to kind of get better at playing certain games from a strategic point of view. I got into architecture because my dad encouraged me to. I actually wanted to study computer science. After I finished my BSc in architecture, it then was fine with me doing my master's in advertising. So that's why I went to the UK to study advertising. I worked in the UK for about 6 years in a digital agency and then moved back to Nigeria to start that. I saw the opportunities from being in that space, from what the potential opportunity of bringing what I'd learned to Nigeria, what the potential opportunity for me as an entrepreneur could be. I'm a parent and I've got 3 kids. And for me, I understand the idea that we maybe not like our kids playing games, but they play games. So as a parent, it's almost like a necessary evil, right? But from that perspective, we started looking at, you know, what are the opportunities that exist in that for kids. The people who design these games. And in that space, we've kind of got animators, artists, sound people, coders, etc. We introduce the industry into how the kids play, so they get more career coaching to kind of understand where, you know, they understand the different roles that exist in the industry. We are selecting model schools to start testing the computing curriculum with as well. So that is through workshops and teaching them computing concepts. We're not just dealing with gamers, the kids who play, we're also dealing with, you know, shoutcasters. We're going to recruit kids who are shoutcasters, who can be the managers of the team. So things that teach them responsibility, teamwork, sportsmanship, teaches them actual skills of being a team that otherwise, you know, you might think about your kid just being in a room playing games, but together as a community, you know, it kind of nurtures more leadership tendencies in the children as well. I'm Bukola Akingbade, founder and CEO of Kucheza Gaming. You just checked me out.
Interesting. Let's now move on to a quick reminder of our top story today. Police rescue over 1,000 people from alleged Islamic correctional facilities in 4 states. Join us again next week where we'll be checking out Eniola Edum, the tech entrepreneur giving young startups a platform to showcase their works at the global level. That's where we are drawing the curtains on the program today, but we want you to keep in touch, so connect with us on Twitter at @GistNigeriaTV. You can also get more updates from bbc.com/Africa and channelstv.com. Thanks a lot for staying with us. I am Wale Fakile. Goodbye.